talking tonight with Hanna, who secured a job as a data and monitoring analyst within the finance sector. Congratulations,
Yep.
Hanna.
Thank you so much, Marsha.
We just had a little chat beforehand, and I said I'm incredibly proud of what you have achieved in just in 4 months.
Yeah.
Less than 4 months.
I started the internship October, middle to tail end of October, so roughly around that time. Yeah.
Wow, that is it's quite an achievement, and I hope you really celebrate it with
Oh,
this
it was
achievement.
it was such a big and intimate celebration with my partner. It's just, when you waited so long for an
Yeah,
opportunity and it just you receive a call and that's it, and it just feels so surreal.
yeah, it's like a whole new world is waiting for you. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like the wait ended, but at the same time, you're off to one big great journey moving forward.
yeah, that stress of, am I going to get it, or is this going to be the one? Although you kind of feel in your heart like, I want this to be the one.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. Super, super proud of you. But I have prepared a few questions. So obviously we do these testimonial videos so to inspire people. And most of the time it does inspire people. So a lot of people that either got a big gap in their career wanting to return to IT, or people like you that wants to change their careers to IT.
Yeah.
So usually these stories inspires everyone. So I'm sure your story is going to inspire other people as well. So let's
Hopefully.
kick it off. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and your background before joining Industry Connect, the data analyst job ready program?
Okay, sure thing. Um, I'm not sure if it's as unique as most of the people who join the Industry Connect Job Ready program, but I'm actually fairly new to Sydney. So that's one big chunk of factor that really kind of hindered me from getting the job that I wanted right away. Was one, different country, different
Oh,
job experiences, and at the same time, most of my career has been with the financial industry, with big corporate banks. And so it's very, you could say there is some overlap when it comes to like finding a data analyst role, because you look at numbers. With the banking
yeah.
industry, I was looking mostly at like revenues and financial statements, but there really is that technical element that lacked in my resume and my CV and my overall experience, that I can't just wing it in an
Yeah.
interview, because there's really some fundamental technical expertise and knowledge that I had to catch up with. So yeah, background mostly in the bank as a credit analyst. I was handling the loan side of things. So
Okay.
mostly credit analysis, looking at financial statements and stuff like that. Yeah.
So where are you originally from?
Oh, I was originally from the Philippines. So
Okay.
I had one banking experience that would count as kind of like an international bank, and the
Mhm.
rest of it was with a local bank. So all the more
Okay.
difficult to kind of like explain
Yeah.
to potential employers in Australia or in Sydney that there's this bank in my country you may not have heard of and stuff like that. So there was a lot of things that was not being able to like translate well to what they were looking for experience wise. So
Okay.
yeah.
So when you moved over from the Philippines, you started applying for similar roles immediately here in Australia?
It was a mix of applying for the roles I used to have in the Philippines in the bank, and at the same time just sprinkling um some applications to a data analyst role. Like, you never know, just in
Let's just
case, like,
see.
hey, it might have been a little bit similar and stuff like that. Because
Yeah.
when my partner and I moved to Sydney, I was really set on shifting to a more technical data analyst role, because at some point in your career you feel like this isn't for me anymore and I want to pivot. I
Yeah.
want to learn something different entirely. And I found it in like being a data analyst, because I was just looking at Udemy classes and all those other free online things.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting for me to like, hey, okay, I kind of wanna go into
Explore.
this and this kind of, yeah, like this kind of analysis, this kind of job, kind of branch out from being confined in a banking industry kind of way. So yeah.
And here you are now.
And here I am.
Oh, so what inspired you to pursue? Oh, I think you kind of answered that question. What inspired you to pursue a career in the IT industry? You were looking for something more on the technical?
Yeah, I was looking for something more technical at the same time. You could call it more versatile role,
Yeah.
since I'm not entirely sure if this applies to everyone who's been a credit analyst in an institutional banking space, but there's kind of like this box you're in. A certain set of policies you follow, the same 5 C's of credit you look at to kind of judge an application, a loan application, if it's good or not, if it's within risk appetite and stuff like that. And I realized when I looked at my CV and I looked at the job market on LinkedIn, on Indeed, it's really just the all other roles that are open for you is just for a credit analyst role. And I was thinking, what if I want to analyze something else? I have the Excel skills that I got from being a credit analyst and stuff like that, the financial analysis skills, but it's not translating in my CV that I can do kind of like a business intelligence analyst or a data analyst kind of role. So I wanted that kind of flexibility in my career. At the same time, I wanted to kind of sharpen my analytical skills more to touch on like a broader topic and stuff like that in terms of like the analytics side. So that's what really pushed me to kind of, you know what, let's do some personal development and professional development kind of thing to really move forward towards that goal, to be more flexible, to be more job ready in case like another crunch happens. Hopefully not.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also putting yourself out of your comfort zone as well, because you've been in that role for quite some time and now you're like, I'm a bit bored. I need something new. So let's put ourselves out of our comfort zone completely.
Yes, that too. Because I really am such a, I wouldn't say fan, but like I really want to keep on learning. Just because I'm out of school, I'm out of uni, doesn't mean like, okay, I'm dead set on this one job, this one role, day in and out. I wanted to learn more because, you know, keep the gears running in my head and stuff like that.
It keeps you, the mind young. All right. And then obviously we had a chat before you joined the program. We had a chat about your previous background and your experience. So were there any challenges or doubts you faced before enrolling into the program?
Oh, there were a lot. I'm pretty sure you know, or you've heard from our conversations how I was just throwing you like one doubt after the other, one question. It's like, Mersha, what about this and stuff like that. But the major thing was that like, was I really up for like moving into the fintech space or the more technical side of Sydney's jobscape? Because moving into Sydney, I knew of Sydney's reputation of being such a saturated business center, and current economics weren't really doing so well for like example fintech space for hiring roles like that. So I had doubts because I was and I am an immigrant. So I was like, if a lot of people who are local Aussies couldn't land a job right away, how much more for me? Right? Like I have a lot of ground to cover. I have like a whole yard of experience that I have yet to get to just be at par with some of the local competition and stuff like that. And at the same time, I had doubts if I could really do a data analyst role. Yeah. I've watched a couple of videos actually of Industry Connect and MVP Studio to like kind of see what are the sort of people who apply to this job ready program.
Mm.
And I saw a few and I was like, yeah, I mean, they're just like me. They're having a
Yeah.
hard time finding their spot in the job market, and they also acknowledge that there is a gap that they have to kind of
Mm.
cross or close in on. And yeah, it was just really more doubts on like if I could really do it, if I had the discipline or the drive to do it, and at the same time, if it would actually make a difference. That was the major thing. Like, am I really gonna spend time in this program? Is it really gonna bring me the fruit that I want? Like, is it
Yeah.
really gonna bring me closer to the goal that I want to reach? Or is it just another excuse for me to procrastinate and not accept or like not acknowledge that I'm not really ready for Sydney's job market? So yeah.
Mm. Yeah. And I think it's also that doubt of, if I'm making the career change, am I
Mhm.
making the right decision? Because
Yes.
it's a big decision, making a
Yeah.
career change. So you're like, am
Is
I
this
doing the
just a
right
whim
thing?
or is this really based?
Yeah. And I think it's truly, and I think I've said it to you as well, is if you've got that desire to change, you will put in the work and you will make it
Yes.
work. It might not happen immediately and it's going to take
Mhm.
time. You're going to face challenges,
Yeah.
but you will always succeed. The success will come at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been faced with that statement. I've been thrown that statement multiple times, and I've had to actually say it and acknowledge it to myself. Because
Mm.
a few years back, I've always been used to just, I want this and I get it. I put in the work and I get it. And
Yeah.
almost always, not to brag, but it came in like a relatively short amount of time. And
Easy.
when I got here to Sydney, just reality just slapped me in the face like, oh, Hannah, you're just, average or or even like
Yeah.
below average. You can't even get the job that you want here in like X month of time. So
Oh, Hannah. So you a lot of heart talk happening there with yourself.
well, I had a lot of months to kind of just really face myself in the mirror and tell
Yeah.
the truth to myself, because I feel like that's really a fundamental step to kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
talk to yourself and acknowledge the hardships, acknowledge your limits, because
Yeah.
not everything will go your way. And even if they do, they're not gonna go your way right away.
Yeah. That's right. But it is then also, again, it's like, if it doesn't go your way, how do you face that? Are you just going to like, okay, I give up. It's not going my way. So
Yeah.
I tried. Or are you going to go, no ways. I'm going to give this 150% till it works.
Yeah, yeah. It's really your decision or your reaction to that kind of
Yeah.
roadblock that you're facing. Am I gonna push through? Am I just gonna stop? Or am I gonna think of ways to go around this obstacle to get to where I
Mm.
really want to? So
Yeah. And it's all it's a learning curve, for yourself personally as well,
mhm, mhm.
going through this process and going through these emotions.
Yeah. There were a lot of emotions, and
Mm.
I admit there were a few that I didn't really get to face before. And it just all came in at the same time because, new country, new life, new chapter
Yeah.
in my life, and stuff like that. So a lot of things that are new kind of just bombarded me and my partner, and I'm like, did we make the right decision to like move here? But
Maybe we should go back.
yeah, it's like,
It was easier.
did we really plan this though? But yeah, it's through those hardships that really test you as a person, as an individual, both like in your personal life and as well as in your career. I realized
Yeah.
that, just because it's difficult doesn't mean you immediately say, oh, it's not for me. Because
Yeah.
if it were
Yeah.
easy, then I don't think it's
No,
gonna be worth it.
no, that's the thing. It's like, are you going to learn from anything if it's so easy? Is it
Yeah.
truly what you want if it's so easy,
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you joined the program. Um,
Mhm.
Can you share your overall experience during your 6-week training?
Okay. Um, it was a video-based learning, so classes were over Zoom and stuff like that. But overall, going through the lectures through the 6 weeks, it was a mix of I'm so excited to learn again, and a mix of I don't have time to do this, and a mix of wow, I didn't think about that at all. So it was really a little bit like going to uni again for like a short
Mm,
course, like minor and stuff like that. But it was so engaging and it was very refreshing to kind of see everyone else, like different phases in life, but you all shared the same goal to learn, to
yeah.
upskill, and to hopefully be job ready for that role that you really want. So
Mm,
classes, it was interesting because all of the systems except for Power BI were it was my first time to really encounter them, and being able to learn from an industry expert from the perspective of someone who actually uses it on the
mm,
regular in their jobs, it's very nice because you can 100% say what they're saying is very practical, or it's the
yeah.
key things to take away from how to use the system. Because I mean, admittedly, 6 weeks wouldn't be enough to really get like expert level on all of the systems,
No,
right? But that's the beauty of the job ready program. It handpicks the parts of the system or the parts of the job in total to like which ones are the important ones that we impart to these people, which ones are the ones that we find most use of in our in the industry in our roles today. And it's very up to date because the instructors, they're working in the role that we want to be in. So I
that's
would
right.
100% trust their instinct and trust their business sense in terms of like how to use Power BI, how to use SSMS and stuff like that. So it was really great to hear it from them and to be able to ask them questions, not just limited to the system itself, but sometimes during the lectures, some would ask like, where do you go to if you want to learn more about the system, or like, do you memorize all of the coding language by now and stuff like that? And it's refreshing to hear from them that not everyone actually remembers it like they have a dictionary in their head. But if
That's
they
it.
do forget, they consult Google. So like it's also very nice to hear that even the experts now, they're still learning.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're all on the same boat. We're all still learning and we're all going to continue learning as we go along. So yeah.
Yeah, and especially in IT, I mean, your learning is never going to stop because it
Yeah.
evolves so all the time and so fast as
Yeah, new
well.
updates, new systems and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. So, were there any specific tools or technologies you learned during your training that proved to be crucial in your current job, in your new job?
I would say more on the Power BI side, since my
Okay,
role is that of a data and monitoring analyst. So it involves querying a lot of data sources to kind of visualize a lot of the data for the business and the team to gain insights from. So Power BI in terms of like the connection side of things, because my experience before enrolling in the program was just using Power BI and my data source would be Excel. But
okay,
during the course, they taught us to query and connect it to a database, a live database and stuff like that. So it was very helpful in for that side in my role now. And at the same time, the data warehousing part, the building and the making sure things flow seamlessly at the back end before other users actually get to query the data in the warehouse that you built. My role now doesn't build. I mean, like I do not build warehouses in this role now, but the knowledge that how it's built, what's in there, and what's possible for the the next user, which is going to be me, it was very
yeah,
important and it was very helpful because it gave me a better understanding of what I
stunning.
could do, not just
Mm,
limited to like, okay, the team has been using this set of data for like X number of months. That's the only thing we can use. Let's say that's a scenario. I know for a
Yeah.
fact that that's not the only thing that we can query. That's not the only thing that's existing, because based on the warehouse, there's so many other fields that we can get, we can derive. And it's that understanding that really helped me to kind of have so many ideas for like, okay, we can improve on this report because we have this data, or we can actually get this data even though we don't have it now because I know it's housed somewhere, or like I know we're capturing this kind of data and we can derive it and stuff like that. So having kind of like an end-to-end
Yes.
knowledge, because that's what was taught to us during the program, from like basic queries in SQL to like building your warehouse and connecting it to SSRS and Power BI, from like the data source all the way to like visualizing it. Having that overall knowledge of how the data flows is really important. It's proving to be very
Yeah.
helpful in the role that I have now. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, especially like this, but especially this, yeah, because it's not just one piece of the puzzle that you're using, it's all these pieces that you need to put together in order for
Yeah.
everything to flow along and to get that end
Yeah.
result. So
Yeah.
although you're not using the SQL, I mean, it's knowledge that you've got, and you never know if the company decides to use SQL, then I've got it, I know it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or like you need some other thing and you talk to the developers or the IT department of your company, you actually get to express that need in a language that you and the team, that more technical team, would understand, because you have the knowledge of how it's being queried, how it's being built. So you can express, like, if there's another business need that arises, you can actually explain it to them, and you can kind of like go back and forth and say like, hey, can we do this? And you could already propose a solution on how to do it. So even though it's not your direct role to do it, having the knowledge is very, very important.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And it's something that no one can take away from you.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's already there.
Yeah. So obviously after your 6-week training, you went into the internship with MVP Studio. How did the program bridge the gap between the theory knowledge and the practical application?
I'd say through very practical tasks, because it's different when, like, for the 6-week program, the lectures and stuff, it's different when you look at the instructor and he does it and you follow along on the side, versus you do something on your own without someone to follow. You're just given a task list and a general overview of the outcome that the business wants. So it was very practical in a sense that the task list didn't really go into full detail that this is what you do, this is how it should look like, and stuff like that. It gave us the space and opportunity to interpret the business need, which is a valuable skill in its own. To be able to read through a very short brief, understand what the business need is, and do it using your own procedure. So it was also helping us build our own kind of process and our way of thinking in interpreting what the business wants, what the business needs, and kind of delivering it on that level with very little instructions. Because I think from even, I mean, it translates to different roles from my previous job experiences as well. Sometimes you don't really get a very detailed ask. Sometimes they just say, hey, I need this. And you have to kind of backtrack and plan your way of thinking to, like, okay, step 1, how do I get there? Step 2, step 3, and stuff like that. So it's very practical, and it wasn't really daunting because you start off with a very small task and then it grows and it grows. And what I really liked about it was that the next task you do is built on the previous task that you did. So you kind of see how what you're doing kind of leads to like the advanced task, how it leads to like this nice dashboard that you used to see, and you get to appreciate all the work that goes behind it and how it's built upon that, and how even like small mishaps along the way can affect the end product
The
or
end
the end
result.
visualization. Like it would look very different, or there'd be a lot of limitations. And at the same time, it was really great because every end of task, your mentor gets to give feedback, and you have this dedicated mentor who looks at your output and gives feedback like, hey, you did great. These are some things you can improve on. So it's not just all good feedback, not just all bad. It's very constructive along the way, and they really remember what you're good at and what you're not good at, what you need to improve on, and they write it down for you to see. And
Yeah.
there's also these weekly tech talks where you just kind of jump in a call all together, you and your co-interns and your mentor, and you kind of just go around of updates and see what everyone's up to, and you get to throw in your questions as well. And it's a chance for you as an intern to ask questions, at the same time provide answers or little semi answers to others if you feel like you know, or
Yeah.
you've encountered the same issue that you encountered before. So it's also an opportunity for you to kind of what do you call it, to kind of build the skill of being a collaborative intern or a collaborative
Yeah.
employee later on, because you know how to like voice your ideas and receive feedback as well. So it was really
Yeah.
great experience to kind of bridge that theoretical learning from the 6 weeks to kind of a more job-like setting. So yeah.
Yeah, and that is quite helpful, those TED Talk sessions, because I mean, whenever you got stuck on something, that's where you would go to get
Yeah.
that obstacle clarified. And it's like you said, that's why you kind of where you learn from other people's mistakes as well, that you pick up some tips from other people,
Yeah.
how to do things differently or how to do it
Yeah.
better.
Especially there's also the question hub, where if I get stuck, I ask questions there, and or I search questions that have been asked that are similar to my questions, and you really see a lot of different solutions to it. So there's a lot of different perspectives on how they approach the problem, and it just builds on like, okay, instead of just me googling and getting one answer, I have like this wealth of knowledge that gives me like X number of answers to kind of
Yeah.
approach it very differently. And it's very nice to see that kind of community during the internship.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not just this one answer and that's the correct answer. There's many ways that you can approach
Yeah.
that solution. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So obviously, we've got our soft skill workshops with Regina. Did you get an
Mhm.
opportunity to attend those workshops?
I attended one, but I forgot his name. Lou. Lou was the one
Lou?
who headed the
Yeah.
workshop. It was more on like CV writing and stuff like that. So being prepared for the interview as well, and it was very helpful, really.
Okay. And how did you approach your job search after completing, or because you got towards like the start of your advanced task, you started applying for
Mhm.
jobs. How did you approach that job search?
I consulted with Lou because part of the program actually helps us with writing the CV. So there were templates available, and there were consultations with Lou as well, because him being a recruiter, he would know what recruiters would look for in the
Yeah.
CV and stuff like that. So it was very valuable feedback, even as simple as like, okay, move the experience section more, and you can just bump off your education section at the end. It's little things like that that add up to the initial what do you call that, impression that your CV would make to the recruiter. And
Mm.
um a lot of help came in on highlighting the technical skills that I've
Yes.
learned during the internship. So like, how do I phrase it, and how do I um highlight those skills as well in my previous job experience, because one way or another parts of those skills were applied in the previous roles. I just didn't think of it that way, or I just didn't
Yes.
word it that way, because my CV has always been like written in the perspective of being a credit analyst.
And
So
it's,
having to
yeah, because
rewrite it
that's
and
what you've
overhaul,
known.
yeah, that's what I've known, and that's what I've been applying for before. But like, okay, let's overhaul, rewrite my CV with the perspective that I want to be a data analyst. So there was a lot of rephrasing, there was a lot of erasing of bullet points and adding new ones to highlight different parts of the task that I did. So it was a very interesting exercise. So the job application, I approached it by really overhauling my CV first and kind of practicing some interview questions, because Lou also gave out some stuff. And apparently there's stuff called like behavioral questions and more technical
Yep.
questions. And yeah, so I mean, I had to practice those two kinds of questioning. So it was really refreshing, at the same time very challenging on my end, because I'm not really much of like practicing interview questions with myself or with my partner or someone else. It feels kind of awkward for me to
Weird.
like
Yeah.
pretend. Yeah, it's like it's weird. I'm not really applying for you, but like
Yeah.
it was something that I had to do, and it was really
Yeah.
helpful because I saw myself improving from other interviews, because I was in my head, I was like, oh, I've touched on this before, and I was able to spend the time before reflecting on my previous job experiences, so it doesn't take me that long, or there's not much of a lag for me to recall because I've done practices before. So it's kind of
Yes.
fresh in my head, the experiences that I
Yeah.
can highlight, the situations that I can bring up if they ask and stuff like that. So
Mm.
a lot of preparation really went down into the job application, because I also
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that I don't fail on so many interviews. Fail in a sense that I do badly, that it comes across that I
Yes.
didn't prepare. Because I didn't want
Yeah.
to ruin my reputation in the recruiter network as well. Because I want them,
Mm.
even though I'm not qualified for the job, I want them to leave with the impression that I am a prepared candidate. So
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And that's the thing is, it's good to go for a few interviews or 5 interviews, because you just learn the questions that they ask, and which
mhm.
prepares you better for that next
Yeah, yeah.
interview. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
how
like you
many
might not get the
interviews?
role, but like you get learning experience in terms of like questioning and
That's
interview
it.
sessions for the next one. Yeah.
That's it. That's it. So how many jobs did you apply for before you got the golden egg?
A whole lot, a whole lot. Uh, a lot. I have a spreadsheet that I keep for all the applications that I've applied to, just to keep track, like, okay, this one I've applied to, but they never responded. So there's
Yeah.
like different categories that I file them under, so I can keep track, like, let's say out of 100 applications I put through, only like X% actually push through for interview.
The
That was
interview.
before I actually applied for the job ready program, because in my head I was just like apply, 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 even though
Mm.
I mean it's the role that I didn't really want. It was mainly driven by the need to actually get a job. So, because
Yeah.
it's been
And
I was in Sydney for like 4 or 5 months already before I applied for the
okay.
job ready program. So there was
Mm.
this growing need to really get a job, start earning and pulling my weight in terms of like finances for me and my partner.
Yeah.
So it was that. But when I joined when I enrolled for the job ready program, that was when I read up that it's not really the best course of action to keep on applying for things even though you don't want them, because one, I mean, it doesn't really come across the recruiters that you want the role. So, and
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
really, if you do get it and you're not happy, it's not going to be good for you, not going to be good for the employer, and it's not going to be good for your resume for you to keep on like
Yeah.
bouncing
It
around.
is.
So,
But
yeah.
it's completely normal. I mean, everybody that moves over to Australia does the exact same thing, as they just apply for anything and everything with a hope they're going to get this lucky luck that they
Yeah.
will get this job, but then it doesn't happen. I mean, a lot of people start losing, their self-worth. They start doubting themselves, and like
Yep.
they don't feel good about themselves anymore, and they just give up.
Mm-hmm. It's very real,
So
very real. I went
yeah.
through that phase as well. Mhm.
So take Hannah's advice. Get into the job ready program. Don't give up. There is a solution.
Have a goal, set your mind to it, focus your energy on it, not just like It's not like a shotgun that you just keep on firing and hope one hits. Be a sniper.
Yeah.
Be a sniper.
Yeah. You have to be. Yeah, you definitely have to be. I think that's a perfect way to describe it, as be a sniper. Know exactly what you want, and go for that.
Yeah.
So the last question is, what advice would you give to any individual who are considering a career transition into IT industry, especially wanting to go into data? What advice would you give them?
I'd say trust the process. It's very easy to say, and I know it's very easy to say, and it's very common to hear from your peers, your family, your friends. They're like, just trust the process. Like everything will happen in time. And at some point, you will feel like they're just saying it to make me feel good or make me feel better. Uh, but honestly, trust the process.
Yeah,
But that also comes with the fact that you do your part in the process. Like you make the process keep on churning by doing your part, and you'll get there eventually. It's gonna take time,
yeah,
but it's gonna be sweeter in the end once you get it. So just continue to put in
yeah,
the work and trust the process. You'll get there. You'll get there.
yeah. No, that is very good advice, because that's the thing. A lot of people try to rush, and I think it's with any course that people do. They try to rush it so that they can try and get that job as soon as possible, but then it doesn't work out that way.
Yeah, and I think it's very much to do with how things are built nowadays or how society is nowadays. Like it's very fast paced.
Yeah,
Everyone expects you to hit the ground running. Everyone expects you to have 5 years worth of experience for something that has been launched a year ago. So
yeah,
it's a very fast-paced world. But
yeah,
sometimes you can't just really keep on going fast. You need to like spend time and simmer down, kind of absorb all the learning because it's gonna help you go further.
yeah, yeah. Well, that is really good advice. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you for taking the
Thank you.
time
Thank you, Mersha.
after work to do this interview with me. I truly appreciate your time. And we just
Of
want to wish
course, of
you
course.
all the best in your new role. And I just know you're going to flourish in this role because you've got the passion and the desire for it.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I can't thank you enough. I wouldn't be here if not for the steps I took, which you helped me decide on. So thank you as well.
You are welcome. Anytime, anytime. Well, you must have a lovely evening, and then I will catch up with you
Hmm.
again.
Yes. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening as well, Mersha.
Thank you, Hannah. See you. Bye-bye.